The factory here in Sish Lane is divided into three main areas. First of all, we buy yarn on cones that is dyed to our colours or available from a stock service. The first stage is the knitting department. In the knitting department we have hand flap machines, the traditional machines. Some of the machines we've got are dating back to the 1950s and 1960s, but it's the same design as machines that we used for the last 100 years. These are completely hand operated with no mechanical assistance. The machines vary in gauge. The gauge is worked out by the number of needles across the flat bed per inch of the bed. So we have 4 gauge machines which have 4 needles to the inch, up to 10 gauge machines which have 10 needles to the inch. On the hand flap machines, each row is pushed by hand. The stitches that can be produced are either a knit stitch, a tuck stitch, or a miss or a transfer, and that is the main structure of all knitting. First of all, we have to work out a scale. The scale is how many needles there are in action, how many rows there are for a rib, how many rows there are for a body, whether the garment is shaped in or out. So each garment panel is made individually. So we would have a back, a front, 2 sleeves and a collar, and if it's a cardigan, trimmings and pockets as well. The operation of the hand flap machines is a highly skilled art which is now being virtually wiped out with the closure of the factory. Each row is knitted by hand, so it involves counting the number of rows, setting the stitch and the tension, and also doing the hand fashioning to decrease the number of needles. Once a batch of garments has been produced, they go to the pressing department, where each panel is pressed individually and checked for size. We try to keep each person making as much of the garment as possible so that it is their garment rather than just being a small cog in a big wheel. The design process is quite complex. Pauline has been our head designer for many years. She started with us at the age of 15 and has only left for maternity reasons, so has been with us for over 35 years. Pauline has always worked closely with the designers that we've been associated with and has built up a really good rapport, so it makes it much easier to interpret their designs and bring them out to the finished garment. The other machines that we have in the knitting room are fully automatic power machines. These are computer programmed. They can produce a panel as a hand flap machine, starting with a lay-in, a rib, a body panel, getting wider and narrower. There are safety devices, so these machines will stop if there's a knot or a break in the yarn or build up of the fabric. We can program in the number of needles in operation at the start, the number of needles in operation at the end, and it will produce a shaped fabric. In the finishing department, we have linking machines which sew the garments together. The advantage of a linking machine is that each stitch can be picked up individually. All the panels have finished side edges, so if a seam does come undone, it can be reassembled rather than being discarded. Other machines we have are buttonhole machines. This can be set to a specific size of buttonhole. It will sew round the area of the buttonhole twice, then a blade will automatically come down and cut through the centre of the stitching to make a perfect buttonhole. The final stage of the production is the trimming, which is sewing in the odd ends that are left from the knitting machines and also the seaming machines. Sewing machines are used for sewing on trimmings and tabs. Once the garments are completed, they're then taken back up to the pressing department. There they'll have swing tickets put on, put in bags, and then boxed up ready for dispatch to the customer.